I'm ready. It looks like we already have some
okay,
audience.
We're live. Yeah, let's go. Okay, great, excellent. So I don't know if you guys got the I just gave, but I highlighted some of the research that Pi Labs has been working on the last 3 months, and we've just published our future of work paper, TICE, which you're showcased in, and Nakash, I think, was as well. So I to start off, I'll quickly introduce myself in case people are just jumping in now. I'm Faisal, founder CEO of Labs. We're in PropTech. We made over 50 investments in Europe, in the UK, Netherlands, Finland, as far east as Bulgaria, and TICE, who he's the founder, is one of our early investments. Why don't I quickly hand over to you guys to introduce yourself, and then we'll move on to the app for you two. So, Thijs, why don't you start, and then Nakash.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Thijs van den Burgt. I'm CEO and founder of Office App. We are an experience platform for office buildings. We basically integrate with all systems inside an office building to provide a unique and unified user experience for people working in a building. On the front end, we provide an application, an app, Office App, that provides features around everything from community to facilities and services and amenities. And in the background, because we integrate with all sorts of different systems, ranging from access control, facility management system, parking management, we also centralize all of those data points coming in. So we combine the harder data points together with user-generated data points and give insights to larger landlords and corporates to give them insights on how they can best optimize their space, how they can be more efficient when it comes to their processes, cut costs at some occasions, but in general, get a better sense of how the office is experienced and how you can improve that experience to provide overall a better office experience for the people working in those buildings. Yeah.
Now, can I just point out that neither your or Nakash's video is showing on my end, so you might want to just video off and then on again. And while you're doing, if you could just introduce yourself and your role at PGIM. Question that I have.
Okay, Officer, can you see me now?
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay.
I've been told I can see you, so please just continue.
Okay. I am for Europe for PGIM Real Estate. PGIM Real Estate is a global investment manager. We manage assets across the globe, and we also have, we cover really all of the asset class, majority of them, from commercial, office, retail, industrial, logistics, hospitality, senior housing, etc. And we also cover equity and debt, both sides. So my role is actually really looking after our corporate level applications and fund level, and now really more and more looking into asset level and see what we can do and how we can add more value into our assets, or actually gain more efficiency across the business processes that we support.
Thank you, Nick. You have, you've been around now since 2015, perhaps earlier, if my memory fails me. And this future of work and technology for offices has really only just come and started to enter the mainstream. Tell us about, in a pre-pandemic world, we'll about during the pandemic, and then we'll move on to in the pre-pandemic world, what have customers been using Office App for? And maybe describe to us what the different types of customers are and which features have been the main use cases pre-pandemic.
Good question. So pre-pandemic, we saw that especially, so we provide our solution to larger landlords and corporates. From a landlord perspective, the biggest reason why they want to work with us, and I think it's also similar to corporates, is that they're making a lot of decisions that are not that are based on previous experience, and sadly we can. On previous experience, and not necessarily from data gathering and real-time data inputs. So by offering them, landlords or enterprises, insights in how their building is being used, they are able to make decisions much faster in optimizing that space. For landlords, we see that giving them insights in what, for example, what tenant is likely to renew their lease or maybe leave the space is very important, because they are not satisfied with the level of service, or because the business is not as thriving as they thought it would be. But also, in some cases, you can get more insights in who's using the more general facilities and services on a daily basis, and optimize specifically on that, or try to optimize your revenue streams based on that. There's also common issues that we see that we can solve, ranging from optimizing the flow of people in the building, but also optimizing the flow of people in the workplace, in the company restaurants. If you look at the side of the corporate, it's much more focused on how can you utilize your space as efficient as possible. Then maybe switch to COVID, if that's all right with you.
Yes, but before we do that, move to Nakash, and we're going to come back to COVID of offering office is able to help. In a pre-COVID world, did you find that PGIM had been using tenant engagement apps? What was the UK pre? I'd like to just kind of trace tenant engagement through the history of like either the last couple of years to what's really come to the forefront now and what we expect to see over the next 5 years.
Yeah, so I think at the PG level, also as an industry level, speaking to a lot of investors and investment on asset management. So having a tenant engagement app, especially for the office buildings, was a kind of alien concept where we took it out, okay, what value, what a return of investment is going to give us, right? So I would say that was not really a priority pre-COVID, because there was no really understanding of who's paying for that app, where the benefits are, and who's getting where is the return on investment. So that fundamental, it's great to have that. It's great to be connected with your underlying tenants or customers or consumers, whoever you name it. But now I can see the situation is evolving quite fast in the industry, where we need to be in touch with our tenants on the fingertips and have that connection and collaboration with them, which is actually changing the way we have prioritized, and as an industry we have prioritized before the COVID.
Sure. No, thank you, Nakash. So I recall, Thijs, you presented to some of the Pi Labs ecosystem recently, and you had some really interesting stories about what's been changing during the pandemic and what some of the requests you're getting from your customers. Can you just talk us through what's happened over the last 3 months? What are your customers wanting, and what have you been able to bring to them as an additional add-on service?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it's I think the biggest issue is safety, of course. So and I think that's that goes both ways. So as a company or as a tenant, you want to make sure that you are providing a safe environment for your employees that has a personal benefit of people actually feeling safe and feeling. But it's also a commercial thing, of course. It's important that you don't have the risk of an entire office building being infected by COVID, and that means that it is a more emotional thing, and it is a measurable thing, or it's an economic thing. And so the questions that arose from our customer base or from new leads that we signed during these times, it's much more focused on how can we make sure that if people go back to the office, we give them a sense of safety, and we actually measure how that is the new solutions that we're providing or the new policies that we're implementing, is that actually changing how people feel in an office building, and are they actually feeling safe? And then there's the other solution is measuring if the policies that they implement are also being adhered to. I think that's also really important, is that there's, in a lot of cases, real estate is a market that hasn't adopted technology at a very high level. And it means that they, when they have to move quickly, and they have no data or insights to make decisions on, it's very hard to actually change something. And by implementing technology that enables you to measure how you can, if people are feeling safe, if you are providing a safe environment, and if not, or specific parts are not safe, give insights back and how you can actually improve that. And I think that's very important for that. And the most questions we received is, how can we make sure that we still deliver services in a building? So how can we make sure that we don't get rush hours on elevators or at the entrance of a building, and the company restaurant? And I think also being able to report unsafe or unsanitary situation quite easily and get instant feedback on those issues. And I think lastly is providing the safety and distance rulings that are in almost every country active, and making sure that people, if they go to work, that they are in a space where they can keep the distance, and that they're managed by, that a solution or technology manages you to be able to do that.
Right. Okay. And it seems like there's quite a bit there that a lot of pivoting that you've had to do over the last couple of months. And I'll come back to how you've managed to execute on that, but just back bringing it more to the present, in terms of the last 3-4 months, what changes have PGIM needed to make at the building level, particularly when it comes to technologies that are tenant facing, to help create an environment that is safer for tenants and employees?
Yeah, so there are some, you say, short-term solutions or quick wins that are being looked at. For example, having thermal scanners or some sort of technology to really scan people and understand if they are affected by the particular disease or not. Looking at touchless elevators and doors. So because I think we want to avoid as much as possible. And then having a kind of location monitoring app, some sort of AI surveillance to understand where people were, how they met, and really booking space, right? So even though there's a fixed desk, but now with this COVID situation, there is no fixed desk. Everyone is hot desk, but you have to book spaces. So looking at the apps where we can actually give the end users the flexibility to really go and select the day they want to go, and taking into the factor of the local guidelines around social measures. And give the people space like that. So giving them that flexibility and understanding and keeping them safe, I think has been a paramount and important for us in this period. Okay.
No, I think that's helpful. So, Thijs, Nakash mentions some of the hardware changes that need to occur, like touchless elevators, touchless entry, etc. And we touched upon this in our research paper as well. Now, with Office App, talk us through how you're managing to integrate all of these different solutions into one app, because, and talk us through how you've had to, actually, and it's a slightly more operational, I think it'd be useful for our audience. Have you had to recode your app, or are you just adding additional integrations with other digital and hardware products that are already in the building or being introduced into the building?
We didn't have to change a lot, to be honest. We have built our solution as an integration, a scalable integration platform that needs to be modular and very scalable. Every office building has a different set of software providers for access control, for facility management, for visitor management. All of those features that are being provided, we already have. So booking a room, enabling visitor registration, providing desk booking, all of those features have already we have already developed. So it was quite easy for us to adopt to the new requests, simply because we already had those all of those features and integrations. We made a few minor adjustments to make sure that we were actually able to provide a much better experience, to make sure that it's actually it's a bit more specific to COVID. So for example, we already had visitor management connected to different kinds of visitor management systems, but we now, instead of providing an iPad app where you need to touch it, you are able to scan a QR code that provides you a web link where you can register on your own phone, so you don't have to touch anything. We already
of people and buildings. You spoke earlier about which elevators are being used and where the people in the building are. I'm assuming there's IoT sensors that are sensing this. And are you saying that your app was already collecting that data, providing the visibility to the end user, and now you can provide that visibility?
Yeah, so we integrate with, so we don't have our own sensors, and we work with sensor partners. We currently have, I think, 9 or 10 different integrations with sensor companies, and with multiple assets where we are able to, we're already measuring occupancy of desks, meeting rooms, how busy it is in a company restaurant, how busy it is in the building, in the entire building, to measure how many people there are in the building. So we were already able to use all of those data points pre-COVID, and we're able to use it when COVID started and when we started to get demand for specific features like this.
No, okay, and thank you, Thijs. Nakash, as a working as a local investment manager that owns or manages offices, one of the big questions that a lot of office owners are debating is how will we attract employees and tenants to come physically back to the office, right? There's a huge, nobody's seen home or remote working at the scale that we all are experiencing right now, but different countries are now starting to unlock themselves and go back to work. I know the UK, where I am, we're largely still working remotely, but that's not the case in some of the Nordics countries. And I think in Amsterdam, you guys are back at the office at a larger scale than we are. So Nakash, question for you is, what will you need to do as a landlord to create an environment that will make your tenants feel back to the office?
Yeah, I think as you point out, it's also not particularly focused on the building, but also the environment and where we live in, right? So we could make our buildings safer and then have the applications and have the sensors and everything there to be able to check the quality of the air, check the noise, check the air conditioning, make sure that we know how many people come in, the visitor. I think some of the stuff that he has mentioned, of course, we are looking at in these way detail, but really what really going to drive the change and results is actually the local situation. For example, our offices in Germany are open, and there's been open for I think a couple of weeks or more than that, because the situation is much better, and also people can commute there without using public transport. But even if we have, for example, a location like UK, our office is based in really central London, we may have all the tools available for people and make people safe, but our environment does not allow us to go back to office because everyone has to use the tube, and as you know, it's overcrowded. Even during the pandemic, we saw the pictures of people really cramped up into those tubes because they also reduced the number of trains on the track. So I think overall, as I said, safety is one of the paramount concerns for PGIM. I mean, speaking from our own personal experience, we've been from day one. We actually went into lockdown a week earlier than the government announced because we were told, look, your safety is most important to us. And we also have to really justify going back to office. We need to tell them our plan. We need to tell how we're going to make sure that we don't use public transport. And if we do, how are we going to ensure that we keep the social distancing in rules? Of course, there are going to be, as I said, we already have launched an application, an app to really book spaces in the office and really track people. if someone does become ill, we can actually easily track who was in the office at a time, when they met, and how close they were sitting, etc., etc. So I think, yeah, there are already a lot of things in place, but eventually it will come down to the local environment and what the situation is in that vicinity.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point, Nakash, that it's not just about the digital experience at the office, but it's also about where the office is located and the actual journey that the employee tenant takes to get to the building. I mean, I've been reading in the FT this weekend that, you know, the bicycle retailers have seen a major surge in demand over the last couple of months. Brompton Bicycle, which is one of the UK-made bikes, are not taking any more orders from the bike retailers. You can only order online just because they've got such a backlog, and they haven't seen anything like this in the last couple of decades. So yes, people are thinking about safer and healthier ways to travel and to work as opposed to crowded train cabins. You also brought up, Nakash, this point around indoor air quality. Now, this is something we're looking into as Pi Labs, and we've actually invested into a company. Thijs, you may know that we've invested into 720 Degrees based out of Helsinki. They measure indoor air quality. They take all these different variables like air quality, lighting, humidity, indoor CO2 emissions, particulate matter, and really put that through a data analytics platform and try to give you a wellness score. Is that something that you're finding as Office App, as a add-on into Office App? Are you finding that your clients are requesting air quality, environmental quality type features into your platform?
Yes, definitely. We have already implemented multiple sensors for buildings, and I think ranging from actual sensors being placed in a meeting room or in around desks, but also measuring and getting those data points through a building maintenance system, and providing those insights on our floor plan solution that is directly connected to a booking module that can be connected to Exchange, but it also directly gives you insights in what humidity, temperature, or even noise levels are in an office building or on a specific place. And we're even at a point where we're gradually measuring. So if I've booked a room or if I've been working, what your experience was. And based on those data points, we can make a profile of you and what your preferences are. And if those preferences change, we can give you a push notification to maybe either open up a door or sit at a specific other desk where the humidity or temperature levels are slightly different and are more to the needs that you have. Because I think what we have seen is that it's very hard to change temperature inside an office building, but you are able to change your position in a building, and that also changes. So we see it a lot. We have, I think, just when COVID started, we also saw that humidity is a good measurement. So if the humidity is very high, the chances of the COVID virus spreading can be a higher risk. So it's very important to get fresh air in. Well, of course, in a lot of larger office buildings, especially the larger skyscrapers that we also have as customers, it's pretty hard to open up a window. But it's looking into how they can solve this issue and not only circulating air inside the building, but actually provide fresh air to lower the humidity and lower potential spread of virus.
Well, it sounds like you should certainly be speaking to 720 if there is a collaboration opportunity, because I know they've done a lot of R&D on developing their analytics platform. But I'm going to just move to my last question because we're going to run out of time as well. One of the points that our research white paper on this topic touches upon is that we've had a pretty centralized office environment historically. And we did a panel last week on the future work, and our paper talks about this as well, that we expect the future of the office to be unbundled and a lot more disaggregated than it is right now. So you can expect to see some office workers at the HQ, then you'll have a contingent that are working remotely at homes, and then you'll have others that are dispersed around different co-working spaces. How do you think technology is going to be the glue that binds together a much more unbundled and disaggregated office? How will it unify everyone together? So currently, as I understand it, Thijs, Office App is for community features around one building. But the future of work will be with people and your tenants working across multiple sites. How will technology bring them all together? Nakash, I'll ask you that question first, and then we can end with Thijs.
Yeah, I think, as you said, I think we see a lot of applications that are, as you said, they are focused on a particular building or particular area. So I think creating that virtual environment where you might be sitting in different places, but still be able to work together. We have a lot of technologies like Zoom and Teams, etc., but it doesn't give us that much community experience because you dial in and you dial out. But having those, I think, applications that I think like Office App and there are other community-based applications that are going to help us glue all the teams together, no matter where they are based when it comes to location and region perspective. So we know like who's working where and what they're working at, and really tracking them, and it's going to help us, as I said, make an unbundled situation into a bundled office going forward.
Thank you, Nakash. Thijs, your view on this? Will Office App be an app for really unifying and bringing together this more dispersed workspace, or will it be just building-based?
No, we already provide the ability to easily switch between office buildings, and the community can either be used for a specific building or for a specific company or for a specific set of co-working or multi-tenant office buildings. And also what we have seen, and also I think a lot of research shows, is that firstly, I think everyone was really hands-on on solving. We were in a crisis altogether, and we wanted to make sure that we changed that perception and actually made sure that with the entire team or with every individual company, they would strive and make sure that they would get through the crisis. But then I think after 6 months, they were starting to work only from the office building, and I believe that will, of course, change. I think people will go back to the office building. I think there will be a change in how people are perceiving an office building and perceiving going to the office. I do think that people will be working from home more in the future. But I think the most important thing that they also miss is the cohesion around them, having a place where they are at home with their family, but also having a place where they go to work and meet with their coworkers. That they miss the creativity of speaking to somebody about a specific issue that you have at the coffee corner, or just have a genuine, basic conversation with somebody else of your company or in the building to make sure that you either get commercial benefit from it or just at a personal level. And people miss those moments. We are providing technology to enable this through our community or to providing services. And it's already the case for us that we can, every employee, let's say if we have a large corporate as a customer, for example, Heineken, they can easily switch from one office to the next one. If they work from company or location A, they can log into environment or the building A and use all of the services, community, and facilities of that specific building. And just with one flip of the switch, they can go to another building if they have a meeting afterwards or working from a different location the day after. And I think that's the flexibility that you should offer. Yeah.
Excellent. Sorry to cut you off, guys. I'm conscious of time. Haven't been kicked. I'm going to be a bit naughty. Final question. I like to end with a crystal ball gazing magic wand question. So Nakash, if magic wand and you could have some tech offices that is not currently available, what would it be? And Ty, your question is going to be, what functionality would you like to deliver to their customers that you currently not? Because I know you do that, and be what we are past possible and about what hasn't been done yet. Tell the office and office landlords are going to see by.
Yeah, so for me, I think what I personally like to see, I think understanding the air quality, so what kind of air I'm breathing in. I mean, also, I think, as you know, air quality does affect performance, so of course it does, and also mental health and well-being. Also looking at lightning, temperature, and noise. These all really have a huge impact. And also, I think I was reading one of the interesting case study in your one, that there's an application called Pop and Rest application.
That's right.
Really, I mean, sleeping is one of the major, you can say, issue, and has contributed a lot of loss of money. So what an office environment, an office space can provide to the individual people, so that they can actually book the office parts or private parts to go in and rest for a bit without, being questioned for it. So I think, yeah, I would like to understand, I think, get more flexibility around a space, and where we can actually have these private spaces that we can go in and work and really be in the office, but still have some that space to ourselves.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I've had many a day in the afternoon where I'd love to have a little siesta, but no place to have it. A bookable pod, I'd love that. Okay, Thijs, over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, as you said, on the feature level, providing to the employees working in the building, I think we're pretty fully booked. But when it comes to, we have been working very hard to make sure that we are able to centralize all of the data points in an office building. I think that's one of the most valuable things that we can offer to our customers, because by combining different data sources, whether it be from humidity sensors or an access control system or different kinds of other systems, but also combining that with user-generated data, asking them questions, doing questionnaires, analyzing data points of how they use the building actually, and combining those insights and provide predictive and analytics to our customers is the next step that we will be launching in the coming 2 years. Gradually, of course, but I think it's one of the most important things is actually getting at scale insights in how buildings are performing, and how you can, with actionable insights, and how you can change specific operational processes or specific features or other insights that you can get to make sure that overall your business provides a better experience in the office building, but also provides a cost-effective solution to our customers. I think that's the value that we are striving to deliver. We're getting closer and closer to actually deliver those predictive and prescriptive insights.
An example? We're going to get kicked off.
Yes, of course. We're getting closer and closer to understand if a potential tenant has a high chance of churning, so of losing the contract and getting, or it's also from a corporate perspective, we also see that it's very important to have the right set of amenities and utilization in an office building. And by getting multiple data points in, you can get the best insights in what the structure and what the insights of, or what the structure and what the amenities and the utilization of a space should look like, specifically based on insights that you have from either users, but also from the harder data from a building.
Okay, got it. Great. Well, it seems like the audience and organizers have certainly enjoyed this, because they usually pop up and need to be kicked off for 6 minutes past time. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for sharing us off functionality features, helping to make the environment in offices safer. So thank you both. And yeah, I see you're promoting on the side channel. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. And in my labs, please send me or my colleague the Nakash. Thank you. Appreciate your time. I'm going to log off now.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy.